Alright, Abusia ha a smart Ghana update, so like, share, and if I comment to comment section as a brasso. Say smart news update and so can you the ever some more. Now and some of the Baba Somu. I have brought your friend Sannie Daara, our year ex communication director, Adom Ghana Football Association. I brought here by Bontiamba Bekasa. Adia ANAS at the a year a GFM Mumpening for a Buko Kayera Kasi, Nantachi, Abamon Pening for B, a lawyer for Binomino. I brought here also Edina no out to San Seven be a watcher say on so I dare say ANAS be Edin papa watch church remo a quite hold ANAS Edino F so na eno and watch church remano case and emrebi ANAS mamrante manebano say or more pay a class of folk a place in be acquire national team say local blaster one so sabreno or no one casama team bia on chere a quite yen faso and she players near the idea no and I'm so my branch friend say a Sannie Daara so arbitration a quite ANAS Edino afaso Sannie Daara and somehow they are to eja.
Let me make it a point that I'm also a journalist. I'm a trained journalist. I work at the highest level of world journalism and won awards for investigative journalism at the global stage. I worked for the BBC for several years. But what we have come to discover, particularly in this ANAS case, is that far from what you guys, the ordinary people, will think that this guy is doing an honest job. In my case, I would say he was being dishonest, he was being criminal, and was far from the ethics of journalism, as he put it. In my case, for instance, what is the predicate for ANAS to just creep up on me, take evidence, twist the evidence, puts it in the public face just to deceive the public and make me look like a corrupt person? And I'll state these points. I'm a communications director of the Ghana Football Association. I have no role in player selection team. I have no influence over the coaches of the national team. I have never been linked to any case. So what was the predicate for him to swoop on me? Now, in my case, they sent a guy. Normally, when you go to the Accra Sports Stadium, there are these guys. I mean, I'm very humble when I give gifts, and I don't say it openly. But there are these guys that you go to the stadium, you go to the VIP area, they beg for money from you. And one of those guys was the guy that was sent to me. And this guy comes to me that he wants, there's a player in Hearts of Oak called Aqua. And that he wants the player to be called to the local Black Stars, not even the Black Stars. And mind you, I was not even the spokesman for the local Black Stars then. First question I asked him, is that what you do at Hearts of Oak? He was one of those errand boys for Hearts of Oak. I didn't know him until, you know, things unfolded. Then he told me he's the one that, you know, when I come to the stadium, I gift money. And I do that a lot, not only at the stadium, but you know, across the places when people ask you for money. Now, this guy says, if he doesn't do it, this man, suppose agent of the player feeds him. So if he doesn't do it, he will lose his source of funding. I said, okay, come to the Accra Sports Stadium. We'll be training tomorrow in the afternoon. Come there in the open. This guy meets me in a conversation not lasting 3 minutes. In a conversation not lasting 3 minutes, I stayed there. I told him it is not possible. If anyone tells you players are called as a result of any influence, it is a lie. They will take your money, chop the money, and they won't do anything. Tell your player to work hard, do this, do that, do that. And that was the only conversation I had with them in 3 minutes. That guy, that Aqua guy who was brought to set me up, with the ANAS guy, there were two, and I was the only person at the Accra Sports Stadium when training was taking place. Then, when immediately I finished, they tried to give me an envelope. I said, no, it is not possible, and even went to wave my hand. Do you know what ANAS did? He went ahead and said Sannie Daara refused it, but subsequently sent his colleague to collect the bribe. Now, any person with any level of fairness or honesty would ask, one, who is that colleague of Sannie Daara?
Well, he said that you directed that it should be given to an unidentified man in a.
No, he said a colleague.
Yes.
That's what he said. He said a colleague. So who is that colleague? Who's that colleague of mine? Why didn't he record it? When my colleague came to him, why didn't he record the colleague saying that? And when I was saying, give it to my colleague or let my colleague come for it, why didn't he record it? So you see the dishonesty? So in that place, do you know what he did? He used captions and his own voice over. Is that journalism? That is crooked journalism. We don't need this sort of investigative journalism in Ghana.
And actually, Anna Abrante for Sannie Daara as a church and some Adom no watch say I was say a year Ghana Journalism Association penny for 80 at the Emrebi Eba na ebo a yen central Jumano Ehobai a quiet befast way bayer investigations a hodor say a be a corruption be a quiet hodwa a befast way a betchere na yet me atia say near whom bribe and answer corruption hodwa a costo ewo or minimo and watch and I was trying Samson watch say I was say ye bo and central for a home by ye day ye timmy actually young quite be a bit me a boy and home by a free and somewhere ye can I see ye shimwa ye be see I am more and shimuna amanisipi na I see it and also say I'm not training some more.
Indeed, we need investigative journalism, honest journalism. Are we not worried as a country that one journalist would wield so much power to the extent, if what Kennedy Japan is saying is true, that this man, this ANAS Armiao guy, was the one that interviews prospective IGPs? Are we not worried that an ordinary journalist will be involved in a lot of land cases against a lot of people? Are we not worried that one journalist, you have all of these controversies and we are willingly ready to hand over all of our powers to somebody who's unelected? And clearly, in my case, I speak for myself. And in my case, he clearly told the lie, as the ethics committee of the Ghana Football Association discovered. So I asked those questions. Who was that colleague of mine that I sent? Did you hear me saying my colleague of mine should come there? He should point all of these things out. So that goes to the heart of the thing. He's not honest. He tampers with evidence. He's not been honest. In my case, he was not honest.
Okay.
He was not truthful.
So,
and I can say it as a matter of fact. In my case, if you guys would be grateful enough to have the tapes and ask, why is it that he said my colleague, I sent somebody? Why in my statement did I send my colleague? Why in my why was that colleague of mine? Why was that colleague of mine coming there? Why didn't he have the recording? And he would rather use voiceovers and captions and subtitles to make that point when there is no evidence. If this has happened to me, perhaps it would have happened to hundreds of people who don't even know journalism, who don't know the tricks that perhaps he used. I have been violated in the most withering terms. Have been violated by this guy. And if the court has found him to be this, it has to be this. Not only that, but we have to care for journalism in Ghana. Care for journalism in Ghana. Nobody must be able to swoop up upon anybody. In India, for instance, there's a law about investigative journalism, how it is conducted. Perhaps it should not be uncontrolled. In Ghana, it is uncontrolled. Nobody can pick up any evidence on you anyhow and use it against you. You must remember the case of the News of the World in the United Kingdom. Why the News of the World newspaper was collapsed is because of some of the activities of journalists like ANAS, who take evidence in one way, in an unorthodox way, and present it in an unorthodox way. That should be our concerns. As good citizens of the country, we should be happy that, investigative journalism can be used to help society, to root out corruption in society and all. But when journalism itself becomes dishonest, we must be able to call it out. And the Ghana Journalism Association must have a platform Where
okay,
there can be a controlled, there can be a controlled way people carry out investigative journalism. It cannot be done like the way it was done in my case. It is criminal.
But when you saw the comment section, I should be like you were showing up for fraud and so any news updates being Sabekano, yet the baby some macro.